So what could the future hold for this conflict in Ukraine as year 2 gets underway? NBC News national security analyst Clint Watts joins us now for a closer look at that. So, Clint, we know things have been somewhat slower over the colder winter months, but fighting is expected to ramp up as spring starts. So what exactly are we looking at?
Yeah, so when we think about where the war is at and how it might end, it really comes down to sort of 3 categories. It could be sooner, could be later, or really could be never. And a way to think about that is what's going on today. In the eastern part of Ukraine, right now, major battles in Bakhmut, lots of probing and pushing forward by the Russian military trying to get this offensive going, but they're struggling, not taking much ground, taking heavy casualties, and expending a lot of ammunition. At the same point, Ukrainians trying to hold the line, but still taking their own losses. So in the near term, this is where the battle is going to be. I think the bigger picture is what would it be over the longer term and how it might end. In the east, it would mean that the Russian offensive that's currently underway would have to make major gains, and there's just no evidence to really support that at the moment. For the Ukrainians, it would be, is there a counteroffensive sometime here in 2023 that they launch, moving in somewhere along these lines, the same way they did here in the light blue last fall? Would they be able to do that, and would it really crumble the Russian military? If they could do this, that might be a sooner outcome rather than a later one.
So, Clint, I mean, looking ahead now, we've obviously seen the heaviest fighting in eastern Ukraine. Where do we think the key battlegrounds are going to be going forward? And could we perhaps see renewed efforts in other parts of the country farther west?
Yeah, I think 2 main regions, the same 2 we've been talking about since last summer. The first one is here in the east. You're going to see this battle line here continue to play out. It has been the focal point in the Donbass. Remember, Vladimir Putin said he was going into the region in order to take Donbass. Separately, the one we saw at the end right here last fall into early winter, we saw the Ukrainians take back all the way to Kherson, this city. By doing that, they've gone right up to the river there. Once they hit that river, though, that's a very tough obstacle for them to cross. There have been some Russian probing operations, not very successful, but this could be another major theater of operation at some point in the near future.
And Clint, what about Crimea? We see that on your map there. Russia, of course, captured and annexed that back in 2014. Is it at all possible we could see Ukraine try to make some moves there?
So that has been the question. You know, the Ukrainians have said, President Zelensky has said that he wanted to go ahead and push all Ukrainian forces and take back all of Crimea. That's probably a stretch, because when you look at what's been set up down here, these trench lines now are quite dug in. This is a different one from others I've shown earlier in the week, but you see these successive positions built into the ground there. That is a very tough fight, and that requires things like armor, artillery, large enough manpower and troop requirements to get through that, and that's very costly for a Ukrainian military that just has fewer troops than the Russians do over time. So how would they go through things like these tank fields here? How would they push into these trench lines? How many casualties could they take? It seems unlikely they would take back Crimea, but it doesn't mean we won't see intense combat there this summer.
It's something else to watch. All right, Clint, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.